Hello, my name is Jerron Paxton. Most people call me Blind Boy Paxton, and welcome to the Blues Kitchen.
Blind Boy Paxton is one of the finest bluesmen in the world today. A virtuoso player over guitar, banjo, violin, harmonica, accordion and piano, he has the ability to play century-old songs and make them totally real and relevant here in 2018. We discuss growing up in South Central LA, and Jerron performs an incredible version of Alabama Bound. And while you're watching, subscribe to the channel for weekly episodes of The Blues Kitchen Presents.
Blind Boy Paxton, welcome to Blues Kitchen.
It's good to be in anybody's kitchen.
It's lovely to have you. Been looking forward to meeting you properly for a long time.
Well, good.
We saw you on Saturday night, and we did actually meet on Saturday night.
Really?
Few whiskies down, hit flask, bit of a dance competition going on at the time.
I got fat hips.
How are you feeling since? Made a recovery?
Oh, I don't injure myself. I just do what must be done, Shoulder your lot.
So you're going to do a cover for us in a short while. You're going to do Alabama Bound. Before we get to that, we'd like to find out as much as we can, really, about life growing up in South Central LA, what it was like as a kid, your first memories of music, when you were first given an instrument, and where you went from there.
Sounds good. I was born in the year of our Lord, 1549. 1989 if it's somebody else's Lord. But I was born back then, child of the 90s, when things started to get rough around there. But I come from rough people that had it rougher in Louisiana, so we dealt with South Central swimmingly. We ate good, we slept good, we expanded the family, and we had a good time down there. There was good music all around the neighborhood. People brought their music from down there out west. There's always been migration of Creole people, especially from Louisiana to California for probably 110, 112 years by now. Some of the oldest folk songs I know are about the line going from Louisiana to California.
Was it your grandmother that would sing around the family a lot? And was that what got you into Cajun music and country blues?
That's the first sound you hear when you grow up, is the sound of your grandmother's voice. And so that's what I set my watch to.
Yeah.
I had no choice in the matter. You couldn't have made me do anything else. So that was my first experience to life, is through that generation, and the people who took care of me. Mama takes care of you, father takes care of you, but they go to work and your grandparents look after you. Hang out with that generation. That was the exchange I had. And I like that generation's music. Yes, there was something very calming and very steady about an older generation of people. And I remember being around my grandmother's best friends and hearing just voices come from people fixing cars and, peeling, skinning catfish and all these little things you do to go on about your daily life. Just hear them sing the blues and sing to themselves and mumble and all these things. And I never heard any of it on record. Then I think when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I think that's about when I consciously remember hearing Bukka White and Scott Dunbar on the radio say, "That's the voice." Oh, and there's the music that goes with it. So from then on, I was set.
So instrument-wise, when was the first time an instrument was placed in your hands? You were saying before that violin was actually your first instrument.
I'm a little nerd, you understand. I hide it by being cool as a fool in a swimming pool, you understand. But I was this way even as a little kid, as a little fat boy in the hood, interested in mechanics and all sorts of things. Before Harry Potter came around, I was interested in black magic. My family's from Louisiana, and I learned that ain't nothing to mess with. And I'm also of that age where a little over half of my education was spent without the internet. It probably would have been closer to half if it had not been for poverty. But I think a long time, I was 16 or so, that's when poor people started getting the internet. And I could look up things. So before this time, when I got interested in music, all we had was encyclopedias, which will just baffle people who were born in this millennia. But I looked into an encyclopedia. For those who don't know, it's an expansive-ass dictionary. And this big, thick, ridiculous, old-time, ancient-ass dictionary.
Volume after volume
yeah,
after volume.
Yeah, exactly. I'd look up violin. And to be such a wealth of knowledge, it gave a piss-poor interpretation and description of what a violin was. I'll break it down to you. Basically, it said you have this stringed box, and you take this hairy stick, and you rub it across the stringed box, and you have the power to move people emotionally. And I heard that, and I said, that sounds like pure bull or black magic. And I couldn't determine whether it was bull or black magic without getting me an instrument. I made a deal with my kin people. They said, if we get you one, you're going to have to take lessons for it, so not to waste the money of the instrument. I said, that's a good deal. I took lessons. I found out it was not bull. I had to just look and dig, and not dig too hard, put a little rosin on your bow, run it across there, and said, well, you don't quite move people in the emotional direction you thought, you know. I got on people's nerves, as most kids do when they first
learning violin is a tough one, isn't it?
It's the worst thing you could do to your parents. It's the worst thing you could do to people who love you. But it's good to do when kids are young and they have time. With strings, you could suck quietly to yourself with every string except the violin. But, you know, trumpets, pianos, you and your neighbors. Like, there's no being nice with those things. Piano's a little bit more pleasant to up on. But violin, oof.
So when did the turning point come where it's like, I've got this down, like I'm now a fiddle player?
After I stopped playing it for 12 years.
Okay.
But with me, when I switched to banjo about 2 years later, that became a lot more intuitive. I could speak the language of music. I could learn about melody and how harmony works between all the strings, and how, you know, and rhythm wasn't too much of a problem. That's what we learned as kids, you know. So after years on the banjo, switching to the guitar, which going from banjo to guitar, it's a very different music instrument intuitively, but with all the music I told you I listened to before, from the age of 8, all that stuff was in my head. So the day I got a guitar, I went to bed with it. The next day I woke up, I could play about every song I knew from listening, you know, Skip James and John Hurt and Muddy Waters and Lightning Hopkins and Robert Johnson. I knew all those songs. They were already in my fingers because I'd been listening to them for so long. All I had to do was just figure out how the chords was made, which goes back to me learning banjo. And then from there I switched to piano for more complex harmony. And then I went back to the fiddle. I said, all right, well, hell, if I'm going to get it anytime, I'm going to get it now. I figured out a few things, and I could focus my attention on the goddamn violin.
Come full circle.
And after a year of intent and focus, I could scrape 3 tunes.
Which were?
And now I'm building the repertoire.
So obviously over time you developed, and the first time we heard your music, I think I said to you a little while ago, was when I saw a 45 that you'd cut with Louis Durham from Kitty Daisy and Lewis. What's coming up next? Have you got a record in the works, or are you just concentrating on playing live? I mean, have you got a record planned?
I've been playing live for a long time, and it's been fun. And I think just for bravery, I'm a big proponent of bravery. You know, fear is a great big bunch of bull, and the best way to kill it and quell it is to go through it. You know, you must come in at the door. So one of the things I've had anxieties about is recording. So I must get over it and must get to a place where I can make a good sounding record. Preferably one that pleases me, so I don't listen to it in disgust every couple weeks or anytime somebody plays.
May I ask what worries you about recording? I mean, you say you want to get over the kind of fear of doing it, if you like, but...
Well, every time I've gone to a studio to record, something I thought that would be pretty easy ends up being a lot more complicated than needs to be. And the product produced is usually not the sound I have in my head. And half the time I found I could have got the sound I had in my head with a good quality old-fashioned tape machine and a good quality mic, as some of my favorite records were produced.
Yeah.
You know, my favorite Fred McDowell records were produced in his kitchen with a tape machine and people talking and chickens in the background. I say, I could have done this in South Central. We could hear roosters and airplanes and all that. And I could have had a good time and been it easy. We could have got the tamale lady on the record. People from England don't know about some little lady coming around your house at 8:30 in the morning going, tamales! People don't know that.
No, you need to get her on your record.
I want to get, that lady has been helping me out since I was knee-high to a duck, you understand? Helped me beat anorexia, that lady. Hey, tamale lady. Howdy from South Central.
No, she's going to be your
Howdy
special
from
guest.
England. Yes.
So you're going to do Alabama Bound for us in just a moment. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your relationship to that tune when you first heard it, maybe, and the impact it had on you.
Alabama Bound is one of these tunes, like so many old friends, that I don't remember when we knew each other. It's something I already known. There's a few tunes like that in my repertoire. Certain of them I could date to the time and place I heard it. Like first song I learned on the guitar by Skip James. 2005, on the couch, my grandmama's couch. Alabama Bound, Dixie, Old Susanna, Wade the Water, When the Saints Go Marching In. I don't know when I heard these. I've never not known these songs, you know.
Course, okay.
And that's one of them. It's just been one of my favorite to sing for a long time. And it comes from a variety of sources, a variety of different people from different parts of the United States. And it tickles me to sing, and I find most people like it. Most people dig the guitar playing. They never quite hear guitar playing like that. So give them a little South Central flavor.
Awesome. I reckon it's time for some music, if that's cool.
Sounds good to me. The next song will be Alabama Bound by yours truly. I'm Alabama bound, Alabama bound. If you want some of my loving, babe, you got to run me down. Alabama bound, Alabama bound. If you want some of my loving, babe, you got to run me down. Like a beefsteak, beefsteak, it ain't got no bone. If a man don't like no fine brown skinned women around here, he sure done lost his home. Heard the rooster crow, the hen walked around. If you want some of my frequency, you got to run me down. Alabama bound, Alabama bound. If the boat don't sink, the train don't turn around, I'm Alabama bound. Well, I got a girl, and she working hard, and the dress that little woman wears, said it's pink and blue, Lordy. She bring me coffee, and she bring me tea. She'll bring me some of everything except the jailhouse key. Don't you leave me here, don't you leave me here. No, I love and baby, if you just must go, leave me a dime for beer. Don't you feel my leg? Don't you feel my thigh? If you feel my thigh, you wanna go up high. So don't you feel my leg? Don't you buy no ride? Don't you buy no ride? If you buy that ride, you bound to tell you a lie. So don't you feel my leg. Said you take me out, treat me nice and fine, but I know there's something just going on wrong in the back of your mind. Well, if you start drinking, where you gon' get fresh, and then you wind up wanting you some of this fine brown flesh. Alabama bound, Alabama bound. If you want some of my loving, babe, you got to run me down. Alabama bound, Alabama bound. If the boat don't sink, train don't turn around, I'm Alabama, Bama,